June 25th, 2010, from the stylish high-tech underground studios of Ribbit Media in sparkly Warwick, Rhode Island, this is NewsUndies. For June 25th, 2010, this is NewsUndies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. Butter Jesus insurance claims denied as act of God. Louisiana lawmakers to citizens pray to stop oil. Vast mineral deposits found in Afghanistan. Thank goodness colonialism is dead. McChrystal shoots self in foot while standing on Obama's foot. Vuvuzela advocacy reaches new low. BP searches for a way to patriotically spin the oil disaster in time for the 4th of July. LeBron James.
Hey gang, it's time for celebrity birthdays once again. I got my cake hat on, let's rock! For Saturday the 19th, Lou Gehrig, dead, and Ann Wilson. For Sunday the 20th, Errol Flynn, dead, and Chet Atkins, dead. For Monday the 21st, Jane Russell, and Mariette Hartley. For Tuesday the 22nd, Bill Blass, dead, and Chris Christopherson. For Wednesday the 23rd, Randy Jackson and Francis McDormand. For Thursday the 24th, Al Molinaro and Nancy Allen. And for Friday the 25th, George Orwell and Sidney Lumet. That's celebrity birthdays. I'm Paul Torville, and I'm done!
We'll have stories in detail right after this.
This isn't a communist country, all right? Just shut up. Just shut up.
Do you want it to be a communist country? I think I got a dictator and he's individually wrapped.
Yeah. It's like a chia pet. I'll get the water.
U.S. Representative from Texas Joe Barton accused President Obama of shaking down BP for funds to compensate Gulf Coast residents impacted by the BP oil catastrophe. Barton then went on to virtually grovel at the feet of BP CEO Tony Hayward in the middle of a House hearing on the catastrophe and BP's response to it. Barton, whose biggest campaign contributions have historically come from petroleum interests, later claimed that his remarks were misconstrued, then retracted the entire statement. Of course, you can't really unsay anything, but now those who thought Barton was right to chastise the president and apologize to BP are disappointed in his spinelessness, while those that think the original remarks were totally off base seem to regard the retraction as a disingenuous political maneuver. Way to go, Joe! Monroe, Ohio, a town of a little more than 7,000, had some excitement recently when a 62-foot-tall statue of Jesus was struck by lightning and burned to the ground. The statue is known by locals as Touchdown Jesus due to the statue's raised arms and upturned face, and Butter Jesus due to its creamy color. The statue was made from a steel armature covered in styrene foam and fiberglass. The statue was on the grounds of the Solid Rock Church in Monroe, Ohio, which also suffered some fire damage. Why it is that it occurred to no one that the statue with its top-to-bottom steel structure and highly flammable flesh would be struck by lightning, and if it was, it would likely burn, is beyond the ken of anyone with a 5th grade science education. Lady Gaga. Vanessa Carlton has come out as bisexual. Okay. She had a big hit about 8 years ago. Big deal. In this day and age, as a young entertainer, coming out as bi is about as daring as taking paper and plastic bags at the supermarket. If she really wants to make an impression, she can come out as an atheist. Wonking, talking, mixed metaphor, chairman of the Republican National Committee Michael Steele, has now complained about the way President Obama has gone too far bad-mouthing the financial sector of the economy. Is Wall Street getting a bum rap, or are the American people getting a bum deal? Here are Pig and Sheep with their thoughts.
President Obama needs to keep his nose out of the doings on Wall Street.
Wall Street is where all the jobs in the world come from, because Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck say so. Wall Street has become the great engine of our economy, producing nothing real and yet making a few crafty hucksters rich on the backs of ordinary workers and taxpayers. What's wrong with that? Does anybody remember the financial collapse of 2008? We're actually not done with it yet, in case you were wondering. That collapse was caused, in large part, by the unmitigated greed of people all around the financial services table. The people who drowned under the burden of overextended credit dug their own graves with shovels lent to them by credit card companies and mortgage lenders. On the one hand, the buyer should beware, but the seller should be selling in good faith. And large swaths of the financial services industry have lost touch with the concept of dealing in good faith, taking unreasonable risks, incurring crushing losses, then demanding that the taxpayers, many of the very same people they herded into foreclosure and bankruptcy, clean up the mess. At what point do we say enough is enough?
Well, that's what Pig and Sheep think. What are your thoughts? Email them to ovcomments@newsundies.com. And now, here's Moose Weintraub with a Sports Half Minute.
Moose Weintraub Sports Half Minute. It's a whole half minute of sports. 30 seconds of sports. Moose Weintraub Sports Half Minute.
Here's your Sports Half Minute. I'm Moose Weintraub. Extreme ironing can be found at the intersection of danger and a well-pressed shirt. Thanks, Moose. Always a great report from Moose. CNN has seen fit to ask if the mouse and keyboard are dead. While the story did showcase a couple novel technologies, as they always do, the article failed to address that to make use of these Johnny Mnemonic 3D grab-and-plop doodads, you basically have to obsolete your monitor and everything that shows up on it. We'll have your exclusive past cast weather and the final news roundup right after this.
You'll notice that when you watch NewsUndies, I'm always wearing a shirt from the Ursus Pacificus Kitsch Cave. Well, now you can too. You can help support NewsUndies by going to the Ursus Pacificus Kitsch Cave and getting some kitsch.
And now, here's your exclusive past cast weather for the week ending Friday, June 25th, 2010.
In the Pacific Southwest, it was standard morning clouds, afternoon sun, turning hot inland. Boring. The Northeast saw scattered thunderstorms, but otherwise seasonable conditions. In the Atlantic corridor, there were hot thunderstorms.
And that's your exclusive past cast weather. Brooks and Dunn. 2 weeks ago, we covered the story of Gavin Stanger of Wenatchee, Washington, who snuck contraband into jail in his bum. Well, East Wenatchee, Washington is beginning to look a lot like Vassalboro, Maine, because the wacky just keeps on coming. In a dispute over the merits of butter versus margarine in the preparation of macaroni and cheese, a 17-year-old East Wenatchee girl is alleged to have attacked her 21-year-old brother with the serrated knife edge of a barbecue spatula and tried to cut his neck with it. The sister was charged with fourth-degree assault, then failed to appear at a hearing. A new arrest warrant has been issued for the failure to appear charge. It can only get better from here, I suppose. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? A bill before the California legislature could finally push the state far off the continental shelf of rationalia and well on its way to the densely populated island of Ridiculia. Get this. State Senator Curran Price is advocating a bill that would change vehicle license plates from the current simple, cheap stamped aluminum to what amounts to a license plate-sized flat-screen TV which displays the registration number of the vehicle when it's moving, but can show ads when the vehicle is stopped. The thinking is that the ad revenue will more than pay for the cost of the plates and may help with the state's nearly $20 billion budget shortfall. Right. I suppose help is a relative term.
Well, that's all for this edition of News Undies. Remember, News Undies is normally a weekly show, but we'll be taking a couple weeks off. Don't you think we deserve it? We'll be back on Friday, July 16th with fresh undies. If you see news that shouldn't be news, email your story tips to undies@newsundies.com. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, I might be appearing on Bible Answers. Actually, I will be appearing on Bible Answers.